Xin chào tất cả quý vị và các bạn. Như quý vị có thể thấy rằng những năm gần đây, Bồ Đào Nha trở thành một quốc gia thu hút rất nhiều các nhà đầu tư Việt Nam đến sinh sống, học tập cũng như làm việc tại Bồ Đào Nha. Vậy lý do là tại sao quốc gia Bồ Đào Nha lại trở thành một điểm thu hút các nhà đầu tư đến vậy? Theo số liệu thống kê chính thức của chính phủ Bồ Đào Nha, năm 2018, Bồ Đào Nha chính thức trở thành quốc gia thu hút số lượng nhà đầu tư Việt Nam với tổng số lượng visa vàng là 700 nhà đầu tư, và khiến Việt Nam trở thành quốc gia đứng thứ 5 trên tổng thể tất cả các quốc gia trên thế giới có lượng người nhà đầu tư vào Bồ Đào Nha cao nhất. Hôm nay để giải thích lý do tại sao Bồ Đào Nha càng ngày càng trở thành một điểm đến hấp dẫn với nhà đầu tư Việt Nam, chúng tôi có mời ông Thiago Marcelo, là đồng thời là chủ đầu tư cũng như là chủ của hãng luật GMA, và ông sẽ giúp chúng ta giải đáp lý do tại sao quốc gia này trở thành một trong những điểm đến hấp dẫn đến vậy. Xin chào ông. Good afternoon, Thiago. How are you today?
Hi Tracy, how are you?
Yes, I'm very good, very good.
Fantastic. Yes, the sun shining.
Yes.
Fantastic,
Hi,
fantastic.
in Portugal, right? How you feel in Vietnam?
Well, first I feel at home, definitely. It's one of the most beautiful country, and more than that, it does have one of the most outstanding people I've ever seen in the world.
Yeah. So if you compare with Portugal, you see what are the similarities, what are the common points between two countries?
Well, both have a huge potential in terms of the present and the future.
Yeah.
We can see on both countries the will to change, the will to evolve, the will to make a better country.
Yeah.
Also, I could say both of them have outstanding foods.
Yeah. I agree with you. Absolutely.
And also, very, very important is they have the same kind of people
Yeah.
that knows how to receive and loves the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a joy when I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think by yourself, when you are in Portugal, you also feel the same.
Me too, somehow.
Yes.
Because of you, so close, so like I know you for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Even we met, that's the second time.
Yes.
It's a fantastic experience. So, can you introduce a little bit more about Portugal? Because right now we all know that Vietnam is the fifth countries in the world who, have the most highest number of investors coming to Portugal to invest in property for the kids to study, to live, to work permanently over here. So what are the reasons, for that? And we want to know more about the countries.
Well, you could ask me, or you could ask directly some of the very well-known celebrities that came to live in Portugal. They made Portugal for their option, like Madonna, like Le Boutin, like Philip Stark, and all of those. I could resume why they came to Portugal. One of the safest countries in the world. That is not us that says. It's the US government that considers Portugal the category A in terms of security.
Yeah.
We don't have terrorism, never had.
Yeah. Because we are neutral, right?
Yes, in crime, it's you can find some pickpockets, but violent crime does not exist in Portugal. The stability, the political stability that it has, the tax regime is also very important.
Yeah.
The tax regime in Portugal is today one of the best, not in Europe, I would say in the world, except the tax havens as Dubai and all of that, that they don't pay anything. But on the countries that pay some taxes, Portugal, with the regime of the non-usual resident, is definitely one of the best in the world. Then you have the food. For sure, it is fantastic. We love to eat fish and seafood.
I miss Alaska crab already.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is definitely fantastic. Yeah. It is. No, and More than that, it's the evolution of the country. On the last years, Portugal had rough times during the crisis, but the Portuguese understood they needed to change for better. And what we see now is what we see. 20 million, more than 20 million persons come to visit Portugal every year.
Yeah.
They return 2.5 times. That means they love it, because if they would come only once, it means they didn't like it.
Yeah.
They come more than once.
They come
So
again
again and again and again. So it's on that area, it's why Portugal is also developed a lot and growth a lot on the last years. It was definitely because of tourism developed the country a lot. From 10 million to 20 million, doubled. Remember that Portugal only has 10 million inhabitants.
Yeah.
We received the double of the inhabitants that we have on board, basically. So it's been pushing the economy on new levels. Also, the investments in real estate. There was a growth, a fantastic growth in terms of pricing and quality. And I think there continues to have in the future place to improve even more.
Yeah.
I think it's not I think, it's reality. What has been happening on the pricing in Portugal of the real estate, it has been constant when some of them was asking, is there a bubble, a real estate bubble in Portugal? All the experts say no. There is no real estate bubble. The prices are growing, but now they are growing at a rate that is constant and reflects the market itself.
Yeah.
But we received more than 120,000 persons that came to live in Portugal last year.
Yeah.
From all over the world.
Yeah.
From the US to Asia to France to many realized that Portugal was a lost pearl in Europe.
Yeah.
By these circumstances, I think it has been the secret of success of Portugal on the last years.
Yeah. So it sounds very interesting and attractive, you know. Definitely in the future, if I choose a country, might be Portugal will be one of the first place, the first choice. And thank you a lot for that information, very useful. Talking about the investor, if they want to set down, they want to set up the business, and they want to do the business. So what is the environment and what is support the government of Portugal give to the foreign investor?
Well, I'm going to use not my opinion, but third party's opinion. I'll tell you how the World Bank sees Portugal in terms of quality of investments. It's AAA.
Yeah.
Why? Portugal first as one of the best infrastructures of ports, roads, and airports in Europe. It has the fastest internet connections in the world.
Yeah.
And also, the legal system is very easy. We accept everybody to come and invest in Portugal. You don't need to have a Portuguese partner. But I do consider can be handy to have a local partner, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
And for instance, I'll give you just an example. You incorporate a company in 57 minutes.
Yeah.
From scratch, you arrive to a desk, and in less than 1 hour, you get out with your company already created, incorporated, and registered. This is something unique. There's not much of this in the world. So I think Portugal created an environment, a very easy easy and good environment to invest in. It's why many companies from around the world are establishing their headquarters in Portugal. They are bringing lots of investments in very different areas. We're talking about from the automotive, agriculture, textiles, and more than that. Remember that Portugal has one of the best educations in Europe.
Talking about education, almost all the investors are very interested in the quality of education. Can you talk a little bit about, introduce a little bit about the education system in Portugal, as well the quality and as well the opportunity the children have after graduation,
Well, it's quite high, because Portugal now has almost plain employment. Why? Because foreign companies and national companies have a good quality of workers. Why? Because the schools are very good. So the school system, even from the governmental or to the international schools on the first stages, to the universities, where we have at least 5 universities in the top 50 of the world, that means that the system is one of the best in the world. We have from engineering, architecture, medicine, business, top universities compared to what is being done in the world. And one element very important, very cheap.
Yeah. What is the tuition fee?
It depends, but an international school full can cost you less than 9,000 per year.
Yeah.
Euros, of course. The university, it goes from, if you are a resident and if you are a national, it costs you 1,000. If you are not a national, the most it can cost you is 5,000 euros per year. And we're talking about engineering school that is highly costly, but the government decided to put one of the biggest aims on education. Educate the people as better as you can. So in the last years we have a generation, and the future generations, the ones that are going to study there, people that can work anywhere in the world. And the possibilities of work is very high. As I told you, we are almost in plain employment, so who's good is automatically have a job. But also to create their own jobs, because it's very important to be an entrepreneur. And Portugal is considered also by the World Bank one of the places where it's easier for a young to create his own business.
Yeah.
It's why we have, for instance, the Web Summit, the international known conference held in Portugal for 10 years to come, because they consider the environment in Portugal very, very, very energetic to create new jobs and new enterprises.
Yeah, that's very good for the young people.
Yes, definitely.
So what is the strong field of education, of study, the strong field of training, of the school in Portugal? The business or the tourism or engineering or architect? I know architecture is very strong in Portugal, right?
Oh yes. You have, for instance, Porto University is the only university in the world that has 2 Pritzker awarded nominees, Cisa Vieira and Sotomora. It's, let's say, the Nobel Prize for Architecture in the world, and we have 2 in the same university. It's, for instance, for Erasmus students, it's the first option for them in Europe. It's very difficult to get in an Erasmus in Faculdade of Architecture of Porto, because of that. But also the engineering, also the MBA at Nova in Lisbon or Catholic University are top in the world. Top in the world. And some of them already even taught in English. They are not taught in Portuguese, they are taught in English.
Yeah.
That is to create entrepreneurs or workers to the world.
It's very good for the young people. What about the old people? What about the education? What about the medical system? You have-
Tracy, I'll tell you something. Myself.
Yeah.
If I would have a problem in the world, I would like to have it in Portugal. Because the public and private health system is one of the best in the world. And free, the public one, of course. It's free system with the best doctors, best machinery, and the best treatments you can find in the world. This is an element that gives you a tranquility that something happens over there, you are on safe hands. This is, I don't have a doubt. For instance, even this year, I broke my elbow outside Portugal, and I took a plane to have the surgery in Portugal because I trust the Portuguese doctors and the Portuguese health system. For instance, you have the Champalimau Foundation in Lisbon that is considered today the first or the second best institute for treatment of cancer in the world. So, let's say, if it happens something to you or to anybody in Portugal, they can be assured they will be in very, very good hands.
Yeah. It's very, very good. What else? What else I need to ask? Education already, medical already, the business environment already.
Business environment,
Trip about the country already.
food, climate, we haven't spoke.
That's all.
That's... No, we can also, the text, we can also speak about the Portuguese passport. And if somebody goes and has the passport, what do you think? The quality of the passport,
Yeah.
you don't have much visas to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, so everything sounds very interesting for the investor so far. And actually, I'm so surprised and find so much useful information from you from the talk we have today. So, in terms of ranking of the passport in the world, I'm wondering what is the number, what is the grade?
Well, it's fantastic you make that question because it's a very interesting question because Portugal has the fourth best passport in the world. But more than that, it's from a country that does have no enemies.
Yeah.
So when you show the Portuguese passport, you are received all around the world as a friend, not as an enemy.
Yeah.
And that is very, very important as to be, because you don't need much visas. You have a passport for the Schengen area,
Yeah.
where you can work in all European Union and you can travel around all the European Union freely with no borders. And more than that, in the world, you don't need many visas. There are a few countries that demand visa for the Portuguese passport. For instance, it's a better passport than the US or Canada. So you can see it is very interesting to have a passport like that. And also the program of the Golden Visa in Portugal, it has been on the last years considered unanimously by everybody as the best European program. It's not me that says, it's the people that are there, and because where do you have a country that the program demands only 7 days of stay per year?
Yeah.
Second, you don't have worldwide taxation.
Yeah.
More than that, you have the non-usual residence regime. That's one of the best. Third, you can apply after 5 years to the permanent residency or the nationality if you comply with some requirements. That is an unique system today in place in Europe, especially if you consider some that are blacklisted. Portugal has been considered by the European Union as a program that doesn't have any issues today, and so I hope it will continue to attract thousands of people to the program, because they can do fantastic investments, because today Portugal is the place to invest.
Yeah.
It's the place to invest in Europe. It's a country that's growing. Prices are growing. So every investment is on the secure side.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a good choice. I definitely consider Portugal a fantastic option, as the program attracts, receives, and ensures prosperity for who invests and comes to it.
Yeah. The last, so I can see from the point that the passport of Portugal is like the very secure gateway, not only to Europe, but to the remaining parts of the world, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
Portugal, to the investors, is, let's say, the gateway to Europe,
Yeah.
the gateway to South America,
Yeah.
and also the gateway to the world. Why? Because it's a country, as I said before, doesn't have no enemies, and smoothly go and enter with no problems on those countries, with smaller investments, good professionals, good workers, dedicated ones, and with an open market almost to the world. So I think it's a very interesting place to be investing. I always say, well, myself, I'm investing in Portugal. So I'm the case of somebody that believes in the country and for sure invests on it.
So now all about the problem of how I can adapt and I can adjust to the, to the daily life in Portugal. What is the language you use in Portugal?
Well, we speak Portuguese,
Yeah.
but you easily can go with English everywhere around the country. It's a country that's easy to find people that speak English,
Yeah.
French, and Spanish. It's normal. The education system demands the kids to arrive at the 10th grade or at the 12th grade with 3 languages plus their own. So I mean that the generations for many years has implemented a good quality of English, French, and Spanish mainly. It's the main languages. Some of them speak a little bit of German, but it's been growing new languages. I hope the Vietnamese one day would be also a language taught on the Portuguese schools.
Yeah, I hope so too. Very much. So we can see that coming to Portugal, you can learn the Portuguese language, which is spoken by
220 million, 220 million, yeah. Yeah, it's the European, in European terms, is the 3rd most spoken language.
Yeah. Also, you can understand the Spanish, right?
It's very similar.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
And very
Once,
easy to study Spanish.
yes, once you have the Spanish, it's easy to speak the Portuguese.
Yeah.
And if you know the Portuguese, then it's easy to learn the Spanish. It's very similar.
Yeah, and then the kid can study English. So with Spanish spoken in 22 countries in the world by 500 million people.
Yes.
And the Portuguese by 270 million in more than 10 countries in the world. And with English spoken by 450 million people in the world. I think all the kids ready to go out of the world without any barrier about the language.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the advantage of being a small country, that we needed to learn the languages to communicate for the world. Remember, Portugal was the inventor of globalization many years ago.
Yeah.
It's why the connections with Vietnam are so strong.
Yes.
We were the first ones to arrive here and to bring trade and friendship to Vietnam from Europe. So it has been ties there are for many, many, many years. And I hope those ties on the future will get stronger and stronger. It's why we need to feed the plant that will grow a fantastic relationship between the two countries.
I myself, strongly believe in that kind of scenario, That
Yeah.
is the future, both of us and many people are working very hard for that kind of thing to happen.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for the interview today. That's
No,
very
thank you,
interesting.
Tracy. And I would say to everybody, come and visit Portugal. It's a thrill, and we are there to receive you with open hands. Thank you,
Thank you so
Tracy.
much. Quý vị và các bạn thân mến, như các bạn vừa thấy, chúng ta vừa có một cuộc trao đổi với ông Thiago Marcelo, và qua nội dung trao đổi, quý vị có thể thấy đất nước Bồ Đào Nha là một đất nước rất là hiền hòa, có khí hậu thời tiết rất phù hợp với điều kiện tự nhiên của người dân châu Á, và 4 mùa quanh năm mà không quá lạnh cũng không quá nóng. Đặc biệt là văn hóa của người Bồ Đào Nha có những nét tương đồng đặc biệt với người Việt Nam, và nếu như quý vị đến sinh sống và học tập tại Bồ Đào Nha, ngoài sự hỗ trợ của chính phủ Bồ Đào Nha và những cái ích lợi mà con cái quý vị có thể được hưởng từ nền giáo dục y tế hiện đại cũng như là miễn phí toàn bộ trong khối công, thì quý vị còn có thể được hưởng những cái chính sách rất là thuận lợi dành cho các doanh nghiệp mà chính phủ Bồ Đào Nha hiện nay đang tạo ra để không chỉ người Việt Nam mà tất cả công dân quốc tế đến có thể hòa nhập, sinh sống và làm việc tại đây. Chương trình của chúng tôi đến đây là hết, và xin cảm ơn và hẹn gặp lại quý vị trong những chương trình lần sau. Okay, thank you.